Why must simple things be so complicated? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a judge who threw out a lawsuit that sorority sisters filed against their own sorority because the sorority allowed a biological male to join their sorority. And not only was this male allowed to join, this bit 6'2", 200-something pound, fully obvious male, not only was he allowed to join, he was also allowed to be in their sorority house, hanging around while they're in various states of undress, kind of like peeping Tom type situation. Now, the court said that they cannot define what a woman is today, and they said that the sorority's bylaws does not define what a woman is. And it's kind of confusing because I've read some articles that said that the sorority cannot define what a woman is, and then some that says that the sorority did not define what a woman is. It's two different things. If you say I can't define what a woman is, then there's nothing I could put in my laws that say what it is that'll be valid. If you say that I didn't, then I got to go back and specifically identify what a woman is. But I don't understand. As I said from the beginning, why must we make simple things so complicated? Woman, XX, uterus, ovaries, all that good stuff, basic stuff that we know about a woman. Why is that so hard to understand? I think the court did not want to get caught up in precedent setting because of all the transgender stuff going on. This may go all the way to the Supreme Court, in my humble opinion, where we should be able to identify clearly a really basic thing. What is a man and what is a woman? Now, before I go any further into it, we have just a little bit of a refresher. If you don't quite remember the story that I covered on the channel a few weeks ago, this is the sorority girls right here talking to Megan Kelly about the situation. After we get done watching this, then we're going to get into a couple of articles to see what's going on a little bit more. And of course, everything will be in the box. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
All of the bathrooms are shared spaces. There are about 3, 4 if you count the guest bathroom. And they are shared spaces. There are no private changing areas for when you shower. There are no locks on the showers. And it's very open and vulnerable.
Oh my goodness. And this person's moving into the sorority house next year?
What's interesting about that, Megan, is that there has been an exemption granted for him, for his safety, but not for these young women.
So, to be clear, the sorority is Kappa Kappa Gamma, and these girls go to University of Wyoming. This is where it's happening. So, you know, we ain't talking about San Francisco, California, Los Angeles, some super liberal blue state. We're talking about Wyoming. So this can happen anywhere. All right. Now, here's the person right there, Artemis Langford. That's the guy. And here's another picture of the person right there. Well, actually, he's not in that picture, but there's another picture that they may show. There we go. You see, that's him right there. An obvious, clear male. And the women are like, look, okay, we're all girls here, and you got this male who should not be here. Normally, if you are a man trying to go into a woman's space in college, you're going to be stopped. There'll be security. There'll be somebody to say, you know what, you can't be here. You're in the wrong place. You might get the police called on you. But because you identify as transgender, then it's okay. You found a loophole. And what's happening is you have biological heterosexual men who are using this loophole to their advantage to gain access to a space where they normally couldn't be. Normally, if you're just a regular guy and you identify as that and there's nothing else extra, you could not even be there. Even if they wanted you to, you couldn't be there. But since you're transgender, you're forcing your will into a space where you're unwanted, unwelcome, and it's a mess, a total mess. Now, here is a little bit of information about this particular person. All right. This biological man was allowed to join Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority at University of Wyoming. 6 sorority sisters filed a lawsuit saying that he repeatedly sexually harassed them and exposed himself while living in a sorority house. Okay, so we ain't just talking about, again, we're not just talking about he's part of the sorority in name only. Like, okay, I'm a sorority girl, blah, 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 blah. Nah, you're living in the space, and they cannot deny him access to the space because he's part of the sorority and because he identifies as a woman. And then the court refuses to say that he is not a woman. You see what's going on? This is crazy. Today, a district judge dismissed a girl's lawsuit saying that it is not up to the court to define a woman. The man believes he is a victim and recently appeared in a local Wyoming newspaper being celebrated for, quote unquote, making history as the first openly transgender woman to join a Wyoming sorority. So you have local media out there in Wyoming celebrating this, saying it's a good thing, saying it's some kind of civil rights movement achievement. That's what they're saying. Meanwhile, the girls in the sorority gotta suffer the consequences of this woke, ridiculous nonsense. Whatever you feel about somebody being transgender, okay, that's one thing, but why don't you just allow biological women to have their own space? You can identify as transgender, but if you're biological male, either you need to be in the male-only space or in the transgender, some kind of third space. But don't violate people's rights because you want to do whatever you want to do. Anyway, he told the paper, quote, there does come a price tag to being a first, and it comes with people in our current political situation that are detractors and do not want that. So that is the guy right there. That's him. All right, this is crazy. This is totally crazy. You know, back in the day, you could be a male and dress androgynously, and you would just still be a male. People like Prince comes to mind, and don't get it confused. I'm not trying to compare this particular individual to Prince. Don't get it misunderstood. I'm just saying Prince would dress feminine, but he was not a woman. You could be a cross-dresser even and still be a man. You are not a woman. You identify as whatever you want. Puffer Train Smoke, Last Train to Paris, flood water from the hurricane in Florida right now. Whatever you want to identify as, cool. But it does not make you that in reality. And people do not have to play with your game. They don't got to play along with what's going on here. Now, here's an article. Judge dismissed lawsuit challenging Kappa Kappa Gamma's induction of transgender student at University of Wyoming. I'm not going to read the entire thing, just a little bit of a snippet. So a federal judge, okay, so we're talking about big judge, has dismissed a lawsuit challenging the induction of a transgender woman, quote unquote, into the Wyoming chapter of the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, according to court documents. So check it out. The lawsuit was filed in March by 6 members of the sorority who alleged the sorority's chapter at the University of Wyoming limits membership to women only, but inducted a man as a member. And they have women only and man in quotation, as if it didn't really mean anything, right? In the ruling filed Friday, Wyoming U.S. District Court Judge Alan Johnson noted the sorority does not expansively define who is a woman in its bylaws and said the court would not provide a definition. So maybe the sorority, so I guess what I'm reading, again, I've read different things. Since the sorority did not expressly define what a woman is, although in the bylaws they do say women only, but since woman was not expressly identified in the bylaws, the court won't do it for them. Quote, with its inquiry beginning and ending there, the court will not define a woman today. So this may go all the way to the high court. There's more. I'll link to this article, the video, everything in the box. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to the 6 young ladies for being very brave to do a thing like this because they're going to get a lot of scrutiny. The LGBTQ, LMNOP, X, Y, and Z mafia is going to be upset. They may come after them, but stand your ground. You should not be subject to having a biological male in your space if you don't want it. And the laws say that it shouldn't even be there. Now we got to go and figure all this stuff out. You know what the guy said about being first or whatever? These girls are the true heroes here. They are the victims and the heroes. They're the ones that are going out there. They're taking the arrows. They're going through the court process. And I hope that this case resolves a lot of this stuff going on. You got biological men in women's spaces, the sorority, the bathroom, everywhere else. Hopefully this case sets a precedent to where women are able to be secure in their spaces without the threat of men being there. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what the judge did here, dismissing a lawsuit saying, hey, we can't identify what a woman is because y'all didn't do it. It's not in the bylaws. And then how about the newspaper out there celebrating it? The sorority apparently not having these girls back. The sorority should be able to say you can't be admitted. I would assume that there are some cases where even the woman would not be allowed to join. You can't just say, okay, I'm only part of the sorority or the fraternity and just join. Isn't there a process you got to go through? And aren't you able to discriminate based on the process, even if you're talking about biological women? So because you're biological male and identify as female, must you automatically gain entry into a sorority? This is totally crazy, totally ridiculous. And I hope that this goes all the way to the big court, all the way to the Supreme Court, and that the ruling is in favor of biological women and biological men as well. Let's keep these spaces for that. Biological men, biological women. You want to identify something else? All right, whatever. But still, biology is biology and it ain't going to change. Shout out to all those who say, trust the science, believe the science when it comes to a brand new thing that they made in the lab in 2.5 weeks. Okay, they got it rigged together with duct tape and everything else. You guys want to say throw that in your body and trust the science, and then when you get a heart disease a week later, oops, it's so random. Yeah, the congenital heart disease. But then when it comes to XXXY, all of a sudden, science isn't really your thing, and it might even be racist. Totally ridiculous, total nonsense. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.